Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alifkha. My ID number is 204-001-20056 and I'm from PBIB class. In this video, I will re-explain about the material of Discourse Analysis course in session 5. The topic is Discourse Analysis and English Language Teaching. So the first is to understand this topic, we need to learn the concept of English language teaching, and the second is the relationship between discourse analysis and ELT. Before we understand the concept of ELT, we must first understand what teaching is. Why? Paul Hirst 1975 said that being clear about what teaching is matters vitally because how teachers understand teaching very much affect what they actually do in the classroom. There are two ways that can be used to know the definition of teaching. The first is virtual way. Using this way means to use definitions from online dictionaries. Example, teaching is impart knowledge to or instruct someone as to know as to how to do something. From oxforddictionaries.com. And the second way is ritual way. And using this method means observing what the teachers do in teaching. Then to describe the task and activities he is doing. Then concluding the task and activities to clearly describe the meaning of teaching. By using these two ways, it can be concluded that teaching is to help students to learn something by imparting knowledge or skills. And in ritual way, there are three main stages in teaching. The first is pre-teaching or planning. The second is while teaching or implementing. And the last is post-teaching or evaluating. The first, what is pre-teaching? So pre-teaching refers to things that teachers do before imparting knowledge to a group of students. Planning for teaching. So planning means to make a set of decisions about what to do and how to do something. Therefore, in pre-teaching, a teacher is usually required to plan two things. Example, planning for what to teach or teaching materials, and planning for how to teach or teaching methods. To identify what to teach, the teachers attempts to determine the type of teaching materials that will be used in the classroom. And some scholars, example Brown 1995, Richards 2001, Tomlinson 2007, and Yasi and Kaharuddin 2015, strongly suggest teachers to do a need analysis or NA to identify how to teach refers to the process of identifying the most effective method used for teaching the pre-existing selected materials. The identification is made by conducting situational analysis or SA. Therefore, the outcomes of pre-teaching are syllabus lesson plan and teaching materials. Next is what is while teaching. So while teaching refers to things that teachers do when imparting knowledge to a group of students. The primary goal is to impart knowledge or skills to the learners through explicit instructions by referring to items in the lesson plan such as time allocation, teaching activities and teaching methods, supplementary materials, and extra class works. Those items are wrapped up in something what Smith 2016 has called teacher's method, which consists of teacher-centered, active method, and student-centered method. And what is post-teaching? So post-teaching refers to things that teachers do after doing the process of imparting knowledge to a group of students or evaluating process. Then evaluating means to make a judgment on effectiveness of teaching. Being effective in this context means that teaching is successful in producing an intended result according to the stipulated course objectives. Tests are the most common instrument used to evaluate teaching. So, teaching is then defined as the process of imparting knowledge or skill to a group of students by applying 3 stages. Example, planning the teaching, giving instruction in teaching, and evaluating the teaching outcomes. More specifically, Smith 2016 defines teaching as the process of attending to people's needs, experiences, and feelings, and making specific interventions to help them learn particular things. And finally, what is ELT? And ELT is the process of imparting skills and knowledge of English to a group of students whose first language is not English through the implementation of 3 main stages. Example, pre-teaching or planning, while teaching or giving instruction, as well as post-teaching, measuring learning outcomes. The relationship between discourse analysis and ELT is to understand this subtopic, we need to learn these 2 things. The first is the trend in ELT, theoretical perspective, and the trend of ELT in Indonesia, factual perspective. First, the trend in ELT or theoretical perspective. PBIB MA 2010, most English teachers tend to teach their students English in isolation with its use. And from the theory, we learn that many English learners could speak grammatically correct English, but fail in speaking naturally intelligible English. Then, the trend of ELT in Indonesia or factual perspective is many students of English encounter the same problem as stated in the theory. This happens because the students receive many inputs of English form but less in English function. To deal with the facts, it can be studied from suggesting the teachers of English to study discourse analysis, because discourse analysis is able to provide information on how native English speakers use English to interact and communicative in their real social lives. So, what is the relationship? Discourse analysis and ELT are found to be tightly connected and inseparable. In a nutshell, the relationship between discourse analysis and language is symbiotic. One in which one will not exist without the others. I think that's all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.